Friends of UNH Women's Hockey present Coach's Corner with head coach Brian McCloskey.
Hi, I'm Phil Kincaid for the Friends of UNH Women's Hockey, and welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner, and I'm here with head coach Brian McCloskey. Another strong weekend for the Wildcats, a pair of important Hockey East victories. One of the most exciting games in a long time here, an overtime victory on Saturday against BU, 3-2. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then a travel down to Northeastern with a 4-0 shutout. Coach, a very emotional game on Saturday. Take us through a little bit of your assessment of how that game went.
Well, it was a classic come-from-behind effort by our team, and we created a lot of scoring chances, gave up a couple goals to fall behind, obviously 1-0, and then tied it up, and then 2-1. Came out in the third, grabbed a goal reasonably early, which probably took some of the pressure off, got us back square, and then we were pressing to get the go-ahead goal, and I thought we had a number of great chances before overtime, but gets into overtime, and then it's a bounce here, bounce there, and truthfully, once it got inside of a minute, I kind of assumed we were going to have to settle for the tie, but just a heads-up play by two seniors. Puck came out in the neutral zone with, just over 10 seconds left, and Marty Garland collected it on the wall and saw Jen Hitchcock splitting the blue line and gave it to her, and that sprung us in on a 2-on-1, and Jen held the puck. I think Sadie went to the net, and Jen fired it home. So not a whole lot of time left on the clock, but it was...
I think it was 2.3 seconds was left.
It was, yeah. I was looking at the clock wondering if she was going to have time to shoot, but, it was one of those, I guess, emotional wins because it looked like we were going to have to settle for a tie. And it was a hard-fought game. I mean, BU deserves a lot of credit. They played tenaciously. They've played us tough every time.
A quintessential game for this season, it seemed to me, Coach, in a couple of ways. Number one, you've been behind in games before, Wisconsin. You came back, sort of like never say die attitude on this team. And it also, I think, showcased the blending of young and, as you pointed out, senior talent, because that tying goal was a case of a couple of your young players stepping forward and getting the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a huge goal. Jen Wakefield took the puck to the net, something we work on and stress with our kids all the time, and Michaela Long was there to collect a rebound and tuck it home. So, and that was a big goal. That was a big goal because we've been in this situation before where the longer the game goes, if you're trailing, especially being, that's the challenge when you have the bullseye is you're going to get teams' best shots, and they're going to play tooth and nail, and I guess that's a good thing because it challenges your players. But, we've gotten contributions up and down the lineup, and our roster is probably, as I've said many times, the most balanced we've had. And we'll need that this weekend.
We'll talk about taking best shots. This is a big weekend coming up, traveling for 2 games at Mercyhurst.
Yeah. And
they always give you their best shot.
Yeah, they're a great program, and we have a lot of respect for Mike Sisti and his team, and they've been knocking at the door, much like ourselves, trying to get to that final game and win the whole thing. But they've been a quality program for years. We've had some great battles with them. On paper, I look around the country and I see 6 to 8 teams. I said this, I guess, a month ago, but it continues to be confirmed that given night can take each other out. And rankings don't mean a whole lot to me. Truthfully, I think we may even be an underdog going in. They get a few non-league shots where they need the wins. We get a little bit more. We've had a little bit more balanced schedule, and but I think the real reason is we're going into their building and their surface, which is smaller. So the adjustments we'll have to make will be mental as well as physical, and I'm sure we'll have a good crowd, and it'll be a hostile environment. It'll be good for our players, and it'll be a real stiff test.
Well, talk a little bit about what it's like going in having to play a pair of games on the road as opposed to just playing one. I mean, obviously, the first game is important, but then the second game is just as important. Is there a different type of thinking that you go through, knowing that you got to play two back to back?
I think where the thinking changes is really after the first game. I think you go into the first game. I don't think you approach the first game any differently than were you playing a single. But depending on what happens night one, and we've been there now a couple times this year, your mentality is going to shift, and so is the other teams. I mean, whoever comes out on top for the first round is going to, naturally have a little bit more confidence. Maybe they don't have quite the edge. So, I think that's why you see around the country it's really difficult to sweep. I mean, really, really tough, especially when you're dealing with the very, very best teams. I mean, we were fortunate. We have Wisconsin here. But that could happen to us on the flip side. We could go in and play two terrific games and come out with two losses. So you just have to build from it and move forward. And I look at it as just a great challenge. I think the first night we'll go in there and, square it off and see where we are, and then try to make a few adjustments and see how we respond. So I think the beauty of the doubleheader is it teaches you some different things about your team as opposed to going and playing a different opponent where maybe you get more up, more down. There's really no excuse. I mean, it's you against them, and the two fighters in the ring, and you're going at it, and you're going to face them for the next round too. So I look forward to I think watching and seeing how we develop over the course of the series and how we handle what they're going to throw at us.
Yeah, I suppose it's important, too, because unlike the Wisconsin series, you're on the road for these back-to-back games. And, the hope, obviously, is that somewhere down the road you're going to have another pair of back-to-back road games that will be even more important.
That's true. And, it's been a while. Obviously, since early October we went to St. Lawrence. And at that point, so this is a little different test. This is kind of like, St. Lawrence was kind of like a pop quiz. And now, not to put that series down, but both teams very, right out of the gate, you're trying to figure out so many untested and, unproven things at that point of the season. Now both squads have played 15-plus games, and you're more settled. Now you sort of see where you're at, midterm, and where do you need work, and where do you have to pay some special attention. And so I think in that sense, and of course then we come back home and play Harvard here. Be an emotional game as well. So we've got three great games to finish this first half.
Great, Coach. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week to take a look at that Mercyhurst series. Good Coach's Corner.